Bonjour French 1. The purpose of this video is to walk you through the correct answers from your study guide for test 1.2. Remember, if you do have any questions about any of these, we will have about 10 minutes at the beginning of class where we can discuss this before you have to take the test. We're starting with part A. On part A of your test, you'll see some pictures and some French sentences, and you'll have to match the French sentence with the image that it represents it. Some of those sentences will look similar to what you see right here on your study guide, so if you know what they mean in English here, you'll know what they mean on your test, and you'll be able to match them with an appropriate picture. So we'll go ahead and go through these quickly. Il y a une fenêtre dans la classe means there is a window in the classroom. Il y a un ordinateur dans la classe means there is a computer in the classroom. Il n'y a pas d'élèves dans la classe means there are not students in the classroom. Fermez vos cahiers is close your notebooks. Regardez le tableau is look at the board. Asseyez-vous is sit down. Regardez la télévision is watch the television. Il y a une carte dans la classe is there is a map in the classroom. Levez-vous means stand up. And il n'y a pas de lecteur de DVD dans la classe means there is not a DVD player in class. For part B, they'll give you a French sentence. It's going to be about what there is or is not in a typical classroom. Your job is to read that sentence and decide whether it's logical or illogical. Logical means that it makes sense. Illogical means that it does not make sense or seems strange for a typical classroom. This is not just about our classroom, it's about classrooms in general, what is normal and not normal for a typical classroom. So for our first one, we have il y a un tableau, which means there is a board, as in a blackboard, whiteboard, chalkboard, something to write on, and that is very logical. So you could have either marked A or L, depending on your situation. Il n'y a pas de bureau means there are not. Notice the difference between il y a, there is, versus il n'y a pas de, which is there is not. Bureau are desks. So this whole sentence means there are not desks in a classroom. That would be very strange or illogical. So B or I for illogical for that one. Il y a un professeur means there is a teacher. That's pretty logical or normal, so A for that one. Or L, if you want to do L for logical. Il y a des élèves, there are some students, pretty normal for that, so either A or L for logical. Il n'y a pas de porte, there is not a door. That would be pretty weird to have a classroom without a door, so either B for illogical or an I for illogical. Il n'y a pas de livres, there are not books. There's not very many classrooms where there are not books, so either B or I for illogical on that. And finally, il y a des chaises, there are some chairs. That's usually something that happens in a classroom, so either A or L for logical on that one. The next section of the test, I know my letter's off here, but it goes along with the next section on your study guide. You will be expected to fill in an appropriate form of avoir in a fill-in-the-blank sentence. You'll need to have your forms of avoir memorized in order to be successful on this section. So start making sure that you're watching that song video or whatever you need to do to have these forms down. Once you have the forms memorized, it's just a matter of noticing the subject of your sentence and then filling in the correct form. So for the to form of avoir, it's a, as. For the je form of avoir, it's a, as in ai. For the vous form, it's avez. You can see it right there on your screen. Now, letter D here is the first one that really throws people off, and there is one like this on your test. Les salles de classe, with an S, is classrooms. The classrooms have chairs, is what we're trying to say. Classrooms is more than one item. It's plural. So we're actually looking at using the ils or elles form of avoir, which is ont. I know it's very strange. We haven't done a whole lot of examples like that, but there will be one like that on your test. So please realize that classrooms is plural, and it's like ils and elles. Julie is one girl, so it's like the L form of avoir, which is a. Mon ami, ami with an E at the end there, is a friend who is a girl, so it's still L. It's still like she, because one friend who is a girl is one girl, which is L, which is she. And you use that form of avoir, which is a. G and H on the back of your paper then are, or the next part of your paper rather, sorry, are very simple. Nous form is avons, ils form is ont. The next section of your test is going to have you choosing the correct article for a blank in a sentence. Remember, your choices for articles include un, une, des, and de. Now technically de and the apostrophe are the same thing. It's just something that happens sometimes whenever the next word starts with a vowel. So I want to remind you about the 3 steps that I taught you in class. You always want to look for a pas before the blank. If you see a pas before the blank, you know it has to be de or the apostrophe if the next word starts with a vowel. So if you'll notice, the only 2 that have pas before the blanks, and I know I'm skipping around my answers here, are E and G. For G, we went ahead and used de because livre is just a normal old word, but then I couldn't use de here because then we'd have the E on de lining up with the O on ordinateur, and they don't like 2 vowels next to each other, so I went ahead and made it the apostrophe. Either way, as soon as you see a pas, de or the apostrophe is your answer. Now for the rest of these, there was no pas, so we had to move on to step 2. Step 2 is to check and see if the item, which is always the word that's after the blank, is plural. Plural usually means that it ends in the letter S. Sometimes it's the letter X. So when I looked through these, and again, I know I'm skipping around to go through my answers, but letter B, the word chaise, chairs, ended in the letter S, and letter F, livre, the word books, ended in the letter S. So for both of those, I used the word some, which in French is des, D-E-S. Now, if they pass both of these tests, they don't have a pas and they don't end in S. That's the only time you have to decide between whether the item is masculine or feminine. If it's masculine, you have to use the masculine word for a, which is an. If it's feminine, you have to use the feminine word for a, which is une. There's no rhyme or reason looking at a word to be able to tell whether it's masculine or feminine, so you really just have to have it memorized. Or if you're lucky enough to find it someplace else on your test with an article, that can clue you in. Either way, these are very similar questions to what you'll see on the test, so if you know these, be pretty sure that you're going to know the ones that are on the test. Here's the deal though, lecteur de CD is masculine, so un lecteur de CD for a CD player. Carte, map, is feminine, so une carte for a map. And then ordinateur, computer, is masculine, so un ordinateur. The last section of your test and your study guide, basically what will happen is you'll read an email from a pen pal and have to answer some true-false questions about it. So as not to give away too much, basically what I've done here is pulled a couple of the words that you'll see in the reading so that you're a little bit more familiar with it and can feel comfortable when you have to read that letter. We've been doing lots of reading practice in class though, so you should be pretty good to go. But just in case you forgot, des amis are friends. If you say c'est un ami with the word an here, because you know that an is masculine, you're saying he is a friend. That's different than c'est une amie when you'd be saying she is a friend. Clearly this is a boy though because of the masculine an. Mon professeur favori is my favorite teacher. Professeur just by itself is a teacher. And I know we've never learned this, but if you say something about a teacher and you say il est intelligent, you're actually saying he is intelligent or he is smart. Make sure you're bringing any questions that you have ready at the beginning of class.